Do you remember the exciting feeling of waking up and seeing an online post about Nintendo saying they're gonna reveal a new Smash fighter soon, like this one here from 2020, when they teased a new character to be revealed at the upcoming Game Awards? Aren't you excited to find out who it's gonna be? Well, it's Sephiroth. It's Sephiroth. And actually, here's the rest of the yet-to-be-announced DLC fighters too. What's that? I just spoiled the surprise for you? Well, fuck you, I don't care. Okay, we've already known all the DLC characters for well over a year now, but if we didn't, then that would have been what's called a leak, and a true one at that. Leaks are something that sadly happen a lot in the video game industry, where someone with insider knowledge shows off some details about a game before said details were officially announced by the game's creators. Why do people do this? I don't know, to feel better about themselves, to prove that they can, shallow reasons mostly. A lot of leaks have happened for the Super Smash Bros. Series. One of the most famous leaks of all time actually was the ESRB leak for Smash 3DS, which revealed a bunch of unannounced things about the game, most notably the inclusion of Bowser Jr., Wario, Mr. Game & Watch, Ganondorf, Falco, Jigglypuff, Duck Hunt, Rob, Ness, Dr. Mario, Dark Pit, and Shulk. Gigantic leak. You probably already knew about this because this topic has been covered a million times already on YouTube, but you know what I don't see as often? People talking about Smash Ultimate leaks specifically. It's always Gamatsu leaked this, ESRB leaked that, Snake's voice actor accidentally saying he'd like to beat up Jigglypuff even though it wasn't confirmed for Brawl yet, so yeah, that happened.
Which Smash Brothers Brawl character would you like to beat up the most?
Jigglypuff.
If you look at Smash Ultimate's full roster, how many characters do you think were leaked? 2, maybe 3? How about I just gray out everyone that wasn't leaked? You ready? 3, 2, 1, bam. Yup. Pretty much everyone was leaked. No, I'm dead serious. Well, let's just start from the beginning. On March 8th, 2018, a new Smash game for the then 1-year-old Nintendo Switch was teased at the end of a Nintendo Direct. This trailer didn't reveal much about the game other than Inkling being a newcomer, with a boy and girl alt, Link getting a redesign, and the silhouettes of some no-brainer characters to make a return. And then, only 8 days after this teaser, the first known leak for this game happened. A GameFAQs user by the name of Vergeben, who I'll talk about more way later in the video, made a post claiming that Ridley would be a playable character, alongside saying that it's not a port of Smash 4 even though it does reuse a lot of assets from that game, meaning that a large majority of characters from Smash 4 would make a return. Needless to say, people didn't really believe Vergeben. I mean, where would they even get info like that this soon after the initial teaser trailer?
You really think someone would do that? Just go on the internet and tell lies?
2 months later, however, still before Smash Ultimate's full reveal at E3 that year, Vergeben fired up their GameFAQs profile yet again, and this time posted about Ridley specifically being announced at E3 and Simon Belmont being a new character, and that no fighters from Smash 4 would be cut, alongside Ice Climbers being in the game as well, all of which ended up being true. The most interesting leak in my opinion happened before Vergeben confirmed no fighters from Smash 4 would be cut. This leak said that Shulk, Duck Hunt, and Bayonetta would be returning in the new game. And you might be wondering why these 3 specific characters, and who said this? Well, it was a content creator called Master of Hyrule, who you may have heard of before. He tweeted out that he heard from a source that these 3 characters would return, and on the same day he would also tweet out that he saw a piece of the new Battlefield stage, which he actually posted an image of as well. The following day, someone else on YouTube called GU King of Heart posted a video in which he said that an anonymous source told him that Nintendo's E3 booth that year would feature props from various Smash characters. He specifically name-dropped Link's Master Sword, Fox's Blaster, Captain Falcon's helmet, Marth's falchion, a golden hammer, Shulk's Monado, Bayonetta's guns and shoes, and a splatter shot from Splatoon. Alongside this, he also posted an image of a piece of the new Battlefield stage, which lined up perfectly with Master of Hyrule's image from the day before, and this supported his claims that Shulk and Bayonetta would return as they apparently had those E3 booth props. But what about Duck Hunt? Well, King of Heart didn't say anything about a Duck Hunt themed prop, but later that year when E3 actually happened and people were able to see Nintendo's booth, it turned out that there really were Smash Fighter props, and one of them was a Hogan's Alley prop from Duck Hunt's Neutral Special. So it's safe to say that whoever Master of Hyrule's source was probably saw or at least knew of Shulk's Monado, Duck Hunt's can, and Bayonetta's guns being props at the event. All the other props King of Heart claimed there would be actually were there, so that was proven true as well. Although there were even more props beyond that, so whoever King of Hearts' source was didn't know about all of them. Maybe they saw them before they were all finished being made, who knows. Also, Master of Hyrule's tweets and King of Hearts' video have all been deleted since, so I sadly can't source them in the description. A small leak I want to talk about real quick, that's hard to even call a leak, is that a former Bandai Namco employee by the name of Thiago Sonobe, sorry if I said that wrong, posted on Twitter that he left Bandai before development on Super #Smash Bros began, but the game's rendering engine was made by him. This was after the Smash on Switch teaser with Inkling, but before the game's full reveal, so at this time we still weren't sure if it was going to be a port of Smash 4 or a new game. So when people saw this tweet, which was a quote retweet of a post by Nintendo about Smash on Switch, people weren't sure if he meant Smash 4 or a new game. Well, considering that after this tweet gained a lot of traction, his account was deleted, it was safe to assume he meant a new rendering engine for a completely new game. Nice. Anyways, a lot of build up later, E3 2018 finally arrives, and do you remember what the big Smash announcement was on that day? Super Smash Bros. Ultimate's impossibly big claim to fame? That's right, everyone is here. Every single past Smash fighter would return. I can't put into words how big of a deal this was, and still is. So naturally, Nintendo and Sakurai, Smash's director, did everything to keep this hidden from the public. And they succeeded, right? Right? Yeah, okay, so one day before that big reveal at E3, in one of the biggest and least known leaks, this was posted on 4chan. And for those who don't know, you can only post anonymously on 4chan. And in this post they said a bunch of stuff, including that every single past fighter would be in the game, and even the game's final name and release date, all of which ended up being true. Daisy and Ridley were announced in that presentation as newcomers, a bunch of old stages were confirmed to come back, Bomberman was shown off as an assist trophy, the title was confirmed to be Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, and it was announced to release on December 7th that year. They also said all maps have Final Destination and Omega layout, which to some people was proof that this was fake because in Smash 4, Final Destination forms were referred to as Omega forms, but in hindsight they probably meant to say that all stages have Omega and Battlefield forms, which was later confirmed in the presentation. Luckily, this post flew under most people's radar. I myself didn't hear about it until way later, but the few sorry souls that did see this before the official announcement, they didn't believe it. Unfortunate for them, however, it ended up being real. So who is this mystery leaker person? Well, like I said, this was on 4chan and you can only post anonymously on there. So the original person who posted this was never identified, so we're left to wonder that question probably forever. Anyways, after that, Nintendo launched the official Smash Ultimate website since the game had been formally revealed. And on this site there was a bunch of stuff to keep fans satisfied as they waited for the release date. You could look at character renders alongside short videos showing each one off, how the game works, and what we're interested in right now, listen to samples of new Smash remixes. Originally there were only a handful of songs available, and Nintendo would post a new one every now and then. And if you right-clicked on one of the songs and chose to open the link in a new tab, it would take you to an unlisted YouTube video with the same audio and title of the song on the Smash site, pretty standard. On July 30th, 2018, they put the Galaga medley on the site, and about a week later they announced that a Smash Bros. Direct would be taking place on August 8th. Well, I don't know how this possibly could have happened, but a couple of hours before that Direct went live, the YouTube video that you'd see if you opened the Galaga medley in a new tab was renamed to Bloody Tears / Monster Dance. And in case you don't know, Bloody Tears and Monster Dance are both the names of songs from a little game called Castlevania 2: Simon's Quest, meaning that, yeah, there was gonna be a Castlevania character in the game. And since Simon Belmont is the flagship character of that series, it was safe to assume it'd be him, and that he'd be revealed in the newly announced upcoming Smash Bros. Direct. And wouldn't you know it, a few hours later when the Direct started, it opened with a trailer for a new character, namely Mr. Simon himself. So this is a case of Nintendo leaking something themselves, and believe me, this isn't the last time that happened. This is gonna sound stupid, but I think this was an accident. That's obviously what it looks like, but maybe the person who runs the official Smash Bros. Channel just wanted to do a little trolling. Anyways, the Galaga medley YouTube video was renamed back to what it was supposed to be not too long after the initial mistake, and after the Direct, they posted the actual Bloody Tears / Monster Dance song to the site. So since I had to edit the YouTube page to simulate it, here's an actual screenshot someone took before the mistake was fixed. And after that, all other songs uploaded to the site would have its YouTube title simply be numbered to avoid this from possibly happening again. Gangplank Galleon being called 12 as it was the 12th song put on the site, and they kept this up all the way until the last song they ever added being Spiral Mountain, which was called 29 on YouTube. Also, side note, though we knew beforehand that a Castlevania rep would be added because of this mistake, nobody expected 2 of them. So even the people that saw the song title mistake and were spoiled before the direct, like me, still ended up being surprised with the Castlevania representation actually announced, even though Richter just ended up being an echo of Simon. I don't really want to call this next one a leak per se, but it's worth mentioning and honestly pretty funny, so I'll keep this short. In the same direct where they announced Simon and Richter, they showed off the main menu for a bit, but didn't want to reveal what one of the main modes was called until a later date, so they blurred out that mode's button on the menu. However, they did not use a very good pixelation filter to hide the mode's name, so not too long after the direct, people already found out that it said Spirits, and someone even figured out that the icon for the mode was gonna be a Magatama, an item usually associated with spirits, thus further confirming the name of the mode. So yeah, not really a leak in the literal sense, but still a funny oversight on Nintendo's part. You could have just done something like this, Nintendo. Or even this. It's not too hard to make something completely unintelligible. Another kind of small thing that I still want to mention because it's funny. On September 8th, 2018, David Hayter, the English voice actor for Snake, held a Q&A panel at Fan Expo 2018 in Boston. And someone asked him how he feels about getting to perform as Snake again in Smash Ultimate. To which he replied,
I feel very good about it. I'm probably not supposed to say anything, but they haven't recorded any more codecs yet.
And as it turns out, in the full release of the game, there wouldn't be any new codec calls on the Shadow Moses Island stage recorded for the new characters. He was quick to say yet though, indicating that he might be asked by Nintendo to do so at a later date. But it's still funny that for the second time in history, David Hayter accidentally spoiled something about an upcoming Smash game through a Q&A question. Though this time it wasn't as severe as leaking an entire character. Okay, now we get back to the big stuff, and I mean big stuff. On September 14th, 2018, a Reddit user by the name of Noah Testy made a series of posts on r/Smash Bros, leaking quite a lot actually. In their first post, they said they used to be a beta tester on Smash Ultimate, which internally was called Cross 2, and they felt like leaking some stuff to piss off the people in charge of the testing team for firing them and supposedly poorly treating the other workers there. Isabelle had already been revealed at this time, and Noah Testy said that after her, the only other fighters would be Ken and Incineroar, which, yeah, was completely true. In the same post, they said that spirits act kinda like stickers from Brawl. Stage selection has no sorting options, some modes would only be accessible via a day 1 patch, Isabelle could tether recover to the stage with a fishing rod, the fly swatter from Mario Paint would be an assist trophy, and most importantly, that there is currently a DLC character fairly far along in development, but they won't spoil who. Shortly after that, they made a second post which was deleted by them and I can't find a screenshot of it anywhere, but according to Smash Wiki, they just described a bit of Isabelle's moveset, more specifically that her side up and down special moves would be similar to villagers. And lastly, some random Reddit user on the sub made a post to discuss potential DLC characters for the game, and our good old friend Noah Testy replied to that post by just straight up saying that Piranha Plant was going to be the first DLC character, even though they said earlier that day that they wouldn't spoil the DLC character. Also, in that same reply, they said that Incineroar's moveset is wrestling themed and that their side special has them summon ropes that you bounce the opponent against, and that they have an ult that resembles Big the Cat from the Sonic series. I guess they just really like Big. Wow. Dang, that's a lot. Pretty much everything they said was true, and most of it was announced in a Smash Bros Direct about 2 months later. The only thing they debatably got wrong is that the Isabelle specials they named would be similar or identical to villagers. Up special functions pretty much the same, but side and down special are very different between the two. Though, to be fair, that original post has been lost like I said, so we don't know exactly how they phrased it. Also, they said that some modes would be in a day 1 patch, but in reality the only quote-unquote mode added in said patch was online functionality. However, we don't know how everything is communicated behind the scenes, so maybe they heard about a day 1 patch adding some functionality and assumed it was a new mode, who knows. One thing that I'm really glad about is that almost nobody saw these leaks. Seriously, this was all posted a full 2 months before Ken, Incineroar, and Piranha Plant were officially announced. The fact that the first post only has 30 upvotes, and that I didn't hear anything about this until doing research for this video, even though it was over 4 years ago, is proof enough of that. Imagine how much less impactful Piranha Plant's crazy reveal would have been if we all just knew about it already. That's the scary thing about leaks. Who knows what's out there right now, and we just don't know about it. For all we know, Super Mario Odyssey 2 has already been fully spoiled by some ex-Nintendo beta tester on 4chan somewhere, but we just haven't seen it. Short rant aside, there weren't that many big leaks after that before the game released. The biggest one was this infamous image of Ken taunting on the Moray Tower stage, posted by a 4chan user on September 21st. Originally it was just this picture, but they later posted the full image, which also shows Ivysaur, Pichu, and Pac-Man. Sadly, I don't know where the original 4chan thread this comes from is, so I don't know what the uploader said alongside it, but what I do know is that many people pointed out a few things about this image that potentially proves it as fake. Such as Pichu's ear being cut off in their render just like how it was in their E3 footage, Ken's foot not casting a shadow on the metal surface below it, and Pac-Man's foot clipping through that same piece of metal, alongside Ken's render being the only one hidden because of a character being too close to it, which looked awfully convenient if the leaker didn't want to make a highly detailed Ken render if this was fake. Someone on Smashwords by the name of DJ3DS recreated this image in the demo of the game, which they apparently just had access to. Pichu and Ken were replaced by Pikachu and Ryu respectively, because Pichu wasn't playable in the demo and neither was Ken, obviously, as he hadn't been announced yet. This recreation showed that that piece of metal on Moray Towers just doesn't cast a shadow on top of it for some reason, and that Pac-Man's foot can indeed clip through if he stands on the platform below it, giving a lot of credibility to the leak. Pichu's ear on the render being cut off is probably just how it was earlier in development, as there are way more unfinalized Battle UI renders, such as Ivysaur and Pac-Man, whose front paw and arm don't pop out in this image, while they do in the final game. Because this leak ended up being true, Ken's taunt where he gives a thumbs up became synonymous with fake leaks, as after this many people that create fake leaks would take pictures of them with Ken doing this taunt in the same image, such as with this fake Mallow and Cacodemon Mii-Hats leak. There he is. And the last leak that happened before the game's launch is probably also the smallest one. Nintendo posted a video on Twitter promoting a Wendy's college tailgate tour they were holding, where you'd have a chance to play a demo of Smash Ultimate. For about a second, there's a clip of the Mute City SNES stage with an at the time unannounced item on the ground, that being the Healing Sprout Orb. Like I said, this item wasn't announced yet when this was posted, meaning that this is a real leak on Nintendo's part, but it's really not that big, just an item. However, many people thought that this item came from Golden Sun, as it supposedly resembles the growth synergy from Golden Sun Dark Dawn, meaning that Isaac, the series' protagonist, was likely to be in the game as a fighter. So here's what the leaked item looked like, and here's what Golden Sun's growth synergy looks like. Yeah, big stretch in my opinion. It's just a stem with 2 leaves, not that wild of a design. I personally wouldn't think it was from Golden Sun, even if I had seen that sprite before. So remember when I said that that was the last leak before the game came out? Yeah, I kinda lied, because something else got leaked 2 weeks before the release, namely the game. The entire game code. Yeah, that happens a lot with big Nintendo game releases. Pokémon knows a thing or two about that. So how did this happen? Well, usually a couple weeks before a game's official release, game stores will start receiving physical copies of said game so that they can start selling them on the actual release date for people who pre-ordered them or just want to buy them on day one. During this window of time when the game isn't out yet officially but copies are already in the back at game stores, it's illegal for the game stores to sell those copies early. However, one game store in Mexico, who we don't know which one specifically, either said screw it or made a mistake and physical copies were sold early. Someone who had one of those early copies then dumped the game ROM from their cartridge onto their computer and posted it online, and then people with Switch emulators or modded Switches could download it all over the world and play it early, for free. This obviously sucks, but Nintendo revealed all characters, stages, and other major details about the game already, so there wasn't a whole lot left for people to leak, right? Well, that depends on what you consider to be big news, as some stuff was obviously leaked because of this, most of which relates to the game's story mode, World of Light. The existence of Darkon and the Dark Realm, along with Crazy Hand, Marks, and Ganon being bosses in there, and all 3 of the game's endings. Pretty much every song in the game, including all new unrevealed remixes, arguably the biggest thing leaked here, and also which few Smash remixes weren't in the game, like the Pokemon Diamond and Pearl Wild Battle remix from Smash 4. All 1,297 base game spirits, with Risky Boots being the last one, and that Camilla and Mithra's spirits specifically were lightly censored for being too revealing. How exactly Squad Strike worked, as that wasn't fully clear yet from the little info we got about it previously. The exact method and order of unlocking characters, with there being a 10-minute cooldown between each unlock battle, and also every character's specific unlock order for clearing classic mode with them, which was different from doing it via the regular Smash mode. The fact that choosing to stack Echo Fighters also stacks the 3 Mii Fighters, which wasn't known yet. and of course the giant list of every character's stats and attribute changes, such as that Luigi runs faster or that Meta Knight's Mach Tornado isn't a multi-hitting move anymore. So yeah, nothing huge leaked regarding new info since we already knew so much about the game already, but this definitely wasn't a small leak, especially if you cared about the game's single-player story mode. And again, the whole game got leaked. From a business standpoint, that's pretty much the worst leak possible. Nintendo obviously was not happy about this, throwing out copyright strikes left and right to people who shared footage early, and even taking down entire YouTube channels who uploaded the new music prematurely. Good thing I didn't cover the leaks, because I definitely followed them. There were also some files related to Piranha Plant in the game already, even though it wasn't released yet. Most notably that they used Bowser Jr. as a base to build Piranha Plant off of, and that it was going to have 2 mid-air jumps as an animation for a second aerial jump was found. However, this animation was removed in patch version 1.1.0, 2 days before the official release date. One more thing I quickly want to mention is that a small group of people who I'll keep anonymous out of respect discovered some files related to 2 currently unannounced DLC characters, namely with some files labeled Jack and some files labeled Brave, the latter of which was added in that 1.1.0 patch 2 days before release. We know nowadays that Jack and Brave are the codenames for Joker and Hero respectively, but these files were discovered before either of them were announced, so out of respect for the players and the game's developers, the group that discovered these files chose to keep them a secret from the public, which I personally think is what all modders and code enthusiasts should do if they discover files related to unannounced future content. This sadly didn't last, however, because about a month after release, these files became public knowledge somehow. Someone else must have found them and shared them, though at this point Joker was already revealed, so it was just Brave that people didn't know about yet. Anyways, that's all the leaks that happened pre-launch. 2 weeks later the game came out, but there was still new content to be added, and as you might expect, that too came with a lot of leaks, though not nearly as much. Pretty much the first post-launch leak goes back to the Brave files. It wasn't known who they would be, but some parameters were discovered, namely that their weight is between Mega Man and Cloud, run speed is between John Link and Kirby, and that they didn't have a rapid jab, wall jump, or crawl, all of which later turned out to be true when Brave, aka Hero, was released. Shortly after that, people started going through the game's text strings, and someone by the name of Dr. Hypercake found this, a file labeled Jack_Mementos_. This file name format matched with other stages in the game, and we know that Jack referred to Joker, who had already been announced at the time even though his stage wasn't. So because of this, it was safe to assume his stage was going to be Mementos from his home game Persona 5. Some people had their doubts because they misspelled the area name as Menentos instead of Mementos, and others like myself were in denial because Mementos is probably the worst and most boring area in the original Persona 5, but it was plain to see this pretty much confirmed that yeah, his stage was going to be Mementos, which it ended up being, but they did something somewhat cool with it, so it's all good in the end. A bit later in early March 2019, 2 more interesting file names were discovered, called howtoplaystagebuilder.html and howtoplayhomerun.html. If you're familiar with past Smash games, you know that both Brawl and Smash for Wii U had a mode called Stage Builder and a mode called Home Run Contest, both of which weren't in Ultimate at launch. Well, the fact that these files with those modes in their names were in the game meant one of 2 things. Either they were planned to be in the game but eventually scrapped, or they were working on these modes to add them in later and they just left some code related to them in the current version for no reason, which Nintendo should really stop doing because yes, of course it was the latter, both Stage Builder and the Home Run Contest were later added via updates. On the topic of Stage Builder specifically, a month after this on April 9th, 2019, Nintendo uploaded a generic Smash Ultimate ad featuring some kid unlocking Inkling and totally wrecking his friends with her. The very first shot of this trailer is the kid picking up his controller laying in front of the TV, and if you look closely at the TV in the background here, you can see that he's on the Game Some More menu, which features the Stage Builder button. And yeah, you might have guessed it by now, Stage Builder wasn't announced yet when this was uploaded. Nintendo realized their mistake shortly after and set the ad to private on their YouTube channel, so I got this footage from a re-uploaded copy. Moving on though, after Joker was announced on the game's release date, it took a notoriously long time for any more info on him and even longer for him to be released, so fans were starting to get antsy for any new information a few months into the game's life. Luckily, a hero by the name of Best Buy had us covered. because on March 31st, they updated their website with a new ad for the Fighters Pass, and on the ad was, well, look at that, Joker's Smash render, which, yeah, almost 4 months after his reveal, we still didn't know what it looked like. Not a huge leak, but it was pretty funny to have a render leaked through Best Buy of all things. They replaced the ad with something else the next day, so they probably got some smack from Nintendo about the mistake. This next one also isn't that big, like, at all, but it's yet another goof by Nintendo themselves revealing something prematurely. Basically, on July 16th, 2019, they uploaded a Switch ad on YouTube, stop me if you've heard this one before, called Fan Favorites and Newest Releases, July, showing off some big releases and stuff they have planned for the month. Namely Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, The Black Order, Fire Emblem Three Houses, Fortnite's 9th season, which was currently ongoing, and what we're interested in, Hero joining Smash as the next DLC character. We already knew about Hero by this point, but we had no idea what his release date was going to be. And since this video was about releases in July, it was safe to assume he was going to release sometime in July, which was already halfway done when this was uploaded. Shortly after this, Nintendo renamed the video to Fan Favorites and Newest Releases Summer, because yeah, they weren't supposed to say that Hero would release in July. But the damage was done, and 2 weeks later, on July 30th, Hero was confirmed to also release that same day. And speaking of Nintendo leaking stuff related to Hero, do you remember Smash World? It's the Smash Ultimate feature on the Nintendo Switch Online mobile app nobody uses. Well, in that app, a few days before Hero's release date announcement, these images were discovered to be buried within the app's database. And since they're just PNGs of Dragon Quest characters, it was clear that these were going to be the spirits Hero would come with. A couple days after this discovery, Nintendo removed those images from the app's code, and then a little while later when Hero actually released, oopsie, those were the spirits Hero came with. Also, a quick side note, I opened Smash World on my phone for the first time ever when doing research for this video, and it was in Spanish for some reason. What? I don't even speak Spanish. And by the way, we're still not done with July 2019, as on the 29th, one day before Hero's release date, Nintendo of Europe tweeted out a promotion for the then upcoming Mr. Sakurai Presents Hero showcase. Under this tweet, they warned people to back up their in-game replays of the current version before the 31st, as the new update would render them inaccessible due to balance changes, which is nice. They almost always warn people about this when a new update is coming out. But whoopsie, they weren't supposed to say the specific date the new update would release. So a little while after, when they realized their mistake, they took the tweet down and replaced it with a new one that said the update releases within 7 days. Nice try, guys. By the way, in case you're wondering why they said it releases the 31st instead of the 30th, like I said earlier is what happened, it's because this is Nintendo of Europe's Twitter, and because of time zones, the update released past midnight over there. That's also why this tweet uses the correct, different time format of day then month. Moving on, Nintendo of Europe just can't help themselves and feels like leaking more stuff, as on September 1st, 2019, they created a page on their website regarding the download for the then upcoming 4th Fighters Pass slot, who we didn't know who it belonged to yet. This page just contains some legal mumbo jumbo about processing the payment for it. Looks pretty inconspicuous, right? Well, if you look at the bottom here, you can see a nice little copyright notice for the SNK Corporation. For those who don't know who that is, SNK is a video game company, which makes video games, meaning they own rights to some characters, meaning that the next DLC character was going to be an SNK character. Nintendo of course took the page down shortly after, and speculation for which SNK character it might be started going wild, with the most obvious candidate being Terry Bogard, as he's the poster boy for SNK's Fatal Fury series, which is arguably their most well-known franchise, along with King of Fighters, which Terry is also in. And sure enough, 3 days later, the next fighter was confirmed to be Terry in a Nintendo Direct. And this I just find hilarious. About 2 months later, on October 30th, a Smash notification went live in-game announcing the next Spirit Board event, called Smash by the Sword, detailing which sword-wielding spirits would be featured in it, and that the event would be live from November 1st to the 4th. And you'll never guess what was at the bottom. That's right, along with the standard list of all company copyrights, SNK Corporation was also listed there, meaning that Terry would be released in early November, and sure enough, he was. And the best part is that he released on November 6th, 2 days after the Spirit event ended, meaning there was literally no reason for the SNK copyright to be in that notification in the first place. Personally, I think it's hysterical how two different things related to the same character were leaked by Nintendo because of the same thing that happens two different times. An accidental SNK copyright listing. Hilarious. Oh boy, great going, Nintendo. Luckily, that's the last time they would leak something themselves regarding Smash Ultimate. Moving on, look, they're about to announce a new fighter. Cool, awesome, I wonder who it will be. Oh wait, a random Reddit user by the name of PracticalBrush12 makes a post literally 10 minutes before the presentation starts, and they post this. Byleth is the new character, with both male and female alt. They used the Sword of the Creator, along with 3 legendaries from the other main characters. Also, Cuphead would be a costume for Meat Gunner. What the? How did they know this? Not only did this user correctly say that Byleth would be announced, but also gave details on their moveset, such as him using the Sword of the Creator and the weapons of the other house leaders, which is likely what they meant by 3 legendaries from them. Also just randomly saying that a Cuphead costume was going to be announced, which was also true. That's impressive. Pretty funny to think that arguably the least welcomed character in the first Fighters Pass was spoiled so insanely close to their reveal. But of course, because of that short time window, almost nobody saw this before then. This isn't the last time we would hear from Practical Brush, as they would strike insanely close to a reveal yet again. A new fighter was set to be revealed October 1st, and this time they made a Reddit post 30 minutes before it went live, saying that it was going to be Minecraft Steve. And they also followed up in the comments by saying that Alex, Zombie, and Enderman would be in the game in some form as well. They also said that his smash is a piston. The people who saw this in the time didn't know what they meant by this, so when someone asked, they clarified that they think they mean Final Smash, but they aren't super familiar with Smash, so they weren't sure. That aside, wow, can you believe it? They were correct about everything. Steve was the new character, Alex, Zombie, and Enderman were alts, and his Final Smash involves a piston. Seriously, who is this person? Checking out their page seems to have leaked some more stuff from time to time about other games, mostly about Monster Hunter Rise, which they apparently also correctly leaked itself. Some of their posts even get deleted by copyright claims, so my guess is that this person is an industry insider or something. The next leak I'm going to talk about happened over a year later, in July of 2021. On a pretty standard small 4chan post about the yet-to-be-revealed Final Fighter, someone randomly commented, "It's Sora. It will drop on October 5. Which, huh? Where did you come from? Later on that same day, in a different 4chan thread about a fake Nintendo Direct leak, someone else who claimed to be a Disney music employee suddenly came in saying that Nintendo called to ask for permission to use several tracks from Kingdom Hearts in a digital event taking place on October 5th, reaffirming that this means Sora is the last Smash character. You'd think this call could just mean that they were just maybe planning to show off some other Kingdom Hearts game on Switch or something, but they wouldn't have to ask for music permission if that was the case. It would have to be for music not featured in whatever product they were announcing with it. Well, as it turns out, there would be a reveal on October 5th, namely for the last Smash fighter, and in Sora's trailer that played there, they used the song Simple and Clean, which isn't in Smash, meaning that yeah, they had to call for permission to use that song in their digital event. Meaning that, what the heck, this super random 4chan leak was true. Luckily though, almost nobody saw that first comment, and nobody paid attention to the other random comment in the second thread, as people were just dogging on the fake Nintendo Direct leak as usual. Yeah, Pikmin 4, sure buddy, that'll never happen. So one of the biggest Smash reveals in history got leaked, but almost nobody paid attention to it. There's some poetic justice in there somewhere. And currently the last leak in the timeline happened very recently, and is related to Smash Bros. Amiibo. In early October 2022, Zurich PopCon was being held in Switzerland, and the people at the con noticed that the Sephiroth and Kazuya amiibo were in the glass display, along with some upcoming Splatoon 3 amiibo, even though we didn't really have much info about them yet, no release date or anything. What's interesting is that there was no sign of a Pyra or Mythra amiibo, which is odd because if we're going by character order, which has always been in what order Smash Ultimate DLC amiibo released, Pyra and Mythra should come out before Kazuya, or at least at the same time. The fact that they weren't there, but Kazuya was, made people speculate that the Pyra and Mythra amiibo may come out after Kazuya. And sure enough, that's exactly what Nintendo confirmed 2 months later. Sephiroth and Kazuya would be released together in January, and Pyra and Mythra would come out somewhere in 2023. And as of this video coming out, we still don't know when that is, though the Sephiroth and Kazuya amiibo have already been released not too long ago. Anyway, that's currently the last leak chronologically. But I quickly want to talk about our good friend Vergeben real quick. Remember, I mentioned that I would talk about them later in the video? Well, that time is now. You see, Vergeben leaked a lot of stuff. Like a lot of stuff. Very sporadically, and often with not much info. So I want to take this time near the end of the video to quickly list off some interesting things they correctly leaked about Smash Ultimate post-launch. They made a ton of claims, a lot of which ended up being true, but if I were to list them all in great detail, this video would be twice as long, and it's already getting way too long. I really gotta wrap this up, so I'm just gonna lightning round all of the things they correctly predicted here, and leave a Smash Wiki page in the description about all their leaks if you feel like reading all that. Yeah, they are such a prominent leaker that they have their own page on the wiki. They said that the Decidueye, Lycanroc, Mimikyu, and Isaac wouldn't be playable, but that Isaac would return as an assist trophy, which was true. And interestingly enough, Mimikyu ended up as a Pokeball summon, basically the same way Isaac ended up. They also said before it was announced that the game would receive DLC, which, I mean, literally everyone saw that coming, so no duh, but they still were right about that. Banjo and Kazooie and a Dragon Quest character would be in the first Fighters Pass. Yup. Terry would be the 4th character in the first Fighters Pass. Yup. The final Fighters Pass 1 character would not be from any of these companies. I mean, that's a super random claim, but yep, they were right. The Mii costumes that would come with Byleth would be Altair, Cuphead, a rabbit, and 2 Mega Man costumes. Yup. Minecraft content would be coming to the game. Yup. Which was apparently in the works before the game even came out, and they also said so back then. Huh. And Koei Tecmo content would be added during the course of Fighters Pass 2. It wasn't a character, but yeah, that did happen in the form of Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity Spirits. My god, seriously, how did Vergeben know so much? That's truly an impressive lineup of correct leaks. Like I said, they also got a few things wrong, but there's more info about the things they got right that I don't have time to cover right now. So again, go check out the page about all their leaks on Smash Wiki, linked in the description. But yeah, that's it. That's all the real Smash Ultimate leaks I wanted to cover. A very flaccid shoutouts to all leakers out there. Please stop what you're doing. Being spoiled on what would be a cool announcement is one of the worst feelings ever, especially if you care about the game you're being spoiled on. And you're not hot stuff for knowing this info before anyone else. Please just keep it to yourself. That aside, I'd like to also give a not so flaccid shout out to Quote Is Cool, Lime the Chef, LurFX1, Noso, Sylveon700, The Game DD, Kirk, Ride the Yoshi, Sheen FTW, Milk and Frogs, The Flying Fire, Super Pig X, Giant Firing Coal, and the rest of my very cool Patreon supporters. This video took a long time to make, just like most of my other content, so supporters like you guys is what currently allows me to keep making YouTube videos. This is my first video of the year, and I'd really like to make this a big year for my channel, posting more videos than previous years, so if you'd like to support me in achieving that, maybe go check out my Patreon page. I'd appreciate it more than you know. Big shoutouts also to Smash Wiki. Most of my Smash knowledge comes from studying what's actually in the game rather than outside of it, so I used the site a lot in the making of this video. Whoever made the History of Leaks page, you're the GOAT. Thanks again for watching, and let's hope that leaks stop happening for stuff we care about. Stay safe out there, and have a great rest of your day.